morning, the most news in the morning, period. Weekdays 6 Eastern.
The Federal Reserve is really responsible for the booms and the busts. So the Federal Reserve pumped up the credit during his period in the 1990s, and there was a lot of capital gains taxes came in, and it helped the budget. But the situation is exactly the same, whether it's the 90s or now. It's just that we go through these cycles, but the Federal Reserve causes these problems, and for him to claim great credit. But the Republicans come up short. They talk about balanced budgets and smaller government, and then we put them in power, and look at what happens. The deficits explode, and now they're on the short end. The economy turned down, but it wasn't the fact that just George Bush was in office. It was due to turn down because that's the consequence of what happens when you create an artificial bubble.
Do you think it's a valid argument, though, that a John McCain administration would be a 4-year extension of the Bush administration?
Sure, but I think that's what's going to happen with Obama, too. There's no difference. Their foreign policies are identical. They want more troops in Afghanistan. They want to send more support to Georgia to protect the oil line there. Neither one says bring home the troops from Iraq from the bases. The bases are going to stay there. The embassy as big as the Vatican, that's going to remain. So their foreign policies are exactly the same. They're both very, very aggressive with Iran. I would say there's no difference.
And you were the one, of course, in the primaries and at the debates that the only Republican really opposed to Iraq, calling for a pull-out, the Iraq War, calling for a pull-out of troops. How would you handle these global threats, then, if it's not to send our troops there and make sure that we're protected?
Well, we create the threats. Why are we on the borders of Russia provoking the Russians? I mean, the Georgians initiated the military attack against these enclaves where they were mostly Russian. So it's sort of like the Russians being on the border of Mexico and then us, blaming ourselves. No, it's the fact that we're over there that we create these crises.
Isn't it part of our duty, though, to support these fledgling democracies that ask for our help, which is what Georgia did?
No, it's not our responsibility to do that. It's their responsibility. But we should endorse the principle, but not send troops and money. The principle of self-determination is a very good one. But once we get over there, we just aggravate the situation. What did we do? We did exactly the opposite in Yugoslavia. We bombed Serbia in order for Kosovo to become independent. Now the Russians are doing the same thing, and then we're on the opposite side. It's this total inconsistency. Absolute interference when we should not be there, and we don't have any money to do this, and we don't even have any troops. If we really needed our troops to go into Georgia, we didn't even have them available, which proves my point that we are undermining our national defense with the foreign policy that we have.
We're out of time. I have to let you go, but I just want to ask you one quick thing. Are you going to be telling your supporters, and you had many, many of them, to back either one of these candidates?
Oh, well, I've endorsed neither one and will not endorse either of the two top candidates.